This is a response to ItsTheSuperFly, who frankly I think has lost the plot a little. I'm going to play some clips from his video.
Well, hello everybody, how are you doing today? And to Mr. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, only the first 3 verses. Jack!
Yeah, Jack, you freaking crazy cherry picker. I don't know Jack, by the way, but I just felt the need to say that. Here's the next clip.
Strongly suggest anybody who really wants to get into any sort of analyzing Old or New Testament Greek or Hebrew text to use this program. It's fantastic. And again, anybody who wants to use an English version of them.
Okay, and this is the clip I really want to talk about.
And lots of beautiful passages. Unfortunately, some of this, for example, Corinthians, which is letters from Paul's, is followed up with Colossians, a letter of Paul to the Colossians with ignorance. Chapter 2, starting at verse 8. See to it that no one takes you captive through philosophy and empty deceit, according to human tradition, according to the elemental spirits of the universe, and not according to Christ. The teaching of ignorance, Jack, of complete and utter ignorance by the apostle, by St. Paul himself. This is the type of mentality that drove the Dark Ages.
Right. Straight away, it seems to me crackers that anyone would write something in a letter like that. So I asked you in the comment section if you thought that was what he was saying in Colossians 2. That's the text you were quoting from. You had a link to it under your video. So the quote is, see to it that no one takes you captive through philosophy and empty deception, according to the traditions of men. And you came back to me in the comment section and said, Paul taught willful ignorance is preferable to critical evaluation. So it's Sunday, I have some free time, I clicked through the link and took a look. It's obvious right away that you've got this text wrong. This is not a religious thing, it's a reading comprehension thing. You need to read literature in context. You need to read verses in context, specifically the textual context. Scan down a few lines from your quote. He ends this part of his argument with, things which are a mere shadow of what is to come, but the substance belongs to Christ. So he's making a contrast. The things he's been talking about versus something to do with Christ. Well, what is the thing he's been talking about? Is he talking about all philosophy, critical thinking, blah blah? Well, the text gives you a clue if you bother to look. Right before the bit you quoted, he says, no one is to act as your judge in regard to food or drink, or in respect to a festival, a new moon, or a Sabbath day. Sounds kind of specific. Okay, anything else in there? Yeah, just a few lines down. Do not submit yourself to decrees such as do not handle, do not taste, do not touch, in accordance with the commandments and teachings of men. You see, he's not talking about philosophy in general or critical thinking. He's talking about something quite specific. Next line. These are matters which have, to be sure, the appearance of wisdom in self-made religion and self-abasement and severe treatment of the body, but are of no value. He's talking about religion. Festivals, new moons, Sabbath days, self-abasement, self-made religion. Things, he says, were a shadow, but the substance is in Christ. Contrast and relationship. Yeah? Literary device, contrast and relationship. According to Paul, religious rules or regulations promise something, the reality of which is found in Christ. That's what he's talking about. Nothing to do with critical thinking. Okay, there you go, that's it. Not particularly difficult, 5 minutes of reading. This isn't a religious video. I don't want to get into some dumbass religious debate. Way too many of those on YouTube already. Obviously, you aren't the only person on YouTube that has difficulties with literature. But the reason I felt the need to respond to you is the way you were schooling that Jack guy about cherry picking, when you cherry picked something that you didn't even understand. And on top of that, you were telling us about getting into the Greek and Hebrew when you can't do a 10-line English reading comprehension. Okay, that was more than I could swallow. I'm not a Vegas hooker. Have a good one.